This is how you know that you're dating a narcissist. Even though there are plenty of warning signs, most people have a hard time understanding the nature of the person they're living with. They feel uncomfortable calling this person a narcissist or describing their relationship with them in such terms. Comparing the current relationship to those they've had in the past, or to a healthy, non-narcissistic one, can be a contributing factor. Still, our culture has a tendency to legitimize abusive narcissism. All right, how are you all doing today? How does a relationship with a narcissist manifest itself? In this video, we'll find out everything there is to know about narcissistic relationships. So that everything is crystal clear, we'll also take a look at the 3 stages of a narcissistic relationship. Before we get started, please click the subscribe button and the bell icon below to subscribe to the channel. Sure, let's just jump in here. The 3 phases of a narcissistic relationship are idealization, devaluation, and discard, all of which you may be familiar with. Each person in a relationship with a narcissist goes through these 3 phases. However, they may occur in a different order or intensity. For starters, you'll be given the royal treatment. After being treated like a king or queen at first, you will start to get less deference from others. First, they disregard you as if you were garbage, and then they physically discard you. In a nutshell, that's what it's like to be in a relationship with a narcissist. Let's start with the beginning, the idealization stage, also known as the love bombing stage, and learn all about it so that everything is crystal obvious. The narcissist treats you with the utmost sweetness. The level of respect they show you is consistent. They are, in a nutshell, good people. They are, to put it simply, adorable. They are not only there, but they show their feelings via physical gestures of love and caring. In theory, you could think of anything that makes you happy. As so, it is essentially what they are. In addition, they prioritize your needs after carefully evaluating your specific case. They mature into something that satisfies your requirements and hopes. Simply said, you may have a strong feeling that this is the one you've been looking for all along. In this establishment, I'm able to satisfy my needs. My dreams and goals have come true at last. Prince Charming rides in on his white horse. You've found the correct person. When you're in a heightened level of euphoria because of them, you'll feel just like this. They want you to buy into a false hope for the future. It's all an act, but they keep you battling by giving you false hope. In order to gain your trust and commitment after the idealization period, people will shower you with affection in an effort to win your affection during the devaluation phase. Before moving on to the devaluation phase, it is important to compare the idealization phase in narcissistic and non-narcissistic relationships. Relationships in which neither person is very self-absorbed. There is an immediate and dramatic parallel because of the commonality of infatuation and the attractiveness of the setting. The interaction is like a dance, with each participant trying to interpret the movements of the other. Both parties are making an effort to learn more about the other. The tension really begins now. These 2 people are connected because they share a common background, interest, or other characteristic, which is rather weak, but it will have to do. However, what comes next is drastically different. What happens next is not typical in a narcissistic relationship. In the second stage of a narcissistic relationship, known as devaluation, the narcissist acts as if the other person doesn't exist. Indications of waning interest in you become increasingly obvious. In spite of the fact that they may have called you frequently before, you shouldn't expect a response if you try to get in touch with them now. It's unlikely they were reading or responding to your messages, even if they were in frequent communication with you. Narcissists tune you out. What you formerly received acclaim for is now a hindrance. To top it all off, they've started insulting you. Then they start trying to talk you out of it. It's you who they convince you is crazy. They now know you're not the one they were seeking. There is a sea change. They become total opposites of who they used to be. Not a trace of it remains. Its magic has ago faded. The handsome prince has left the castle. Unfortunately, it seems that you can no longer access that page with that link. The narcissist's treatment just serves to reinforce the victim's own self-blame, leading them to believe that they must have done something to deserve it. Perhaps it was my fault that they reacted that way. It's because of this that I'm getting turned down for a job. Despite the fact that you don't think you were ever wrong. That's why everyone has been so mean to me. Then you try to mend the relationship and get things back to how they were. In the end, a change occurs in your character. Basically, you've abandoned your former values. You compromise on what really matters to you in order to save the relationship. Also, if you have a history of trauma, the situation will only worsen rapidly. In this phase, both parties should learn and reflect on each other. It becomes more apparent, which can help restore a normal interaction between you. When the first thrill wears off and the passion cools, the couple is left in a vulnerable state, one in which each can see the other for who they really are. They are given a taste of what the following class will be like. The atmosphere between them improves, and they start to feel comfortable around one another. It's safe to assume that they are no longer in constant contact with one another. Their relationship appears stable, regardless of whether they talk every day or never. This bond has become stronger over time, and the fact that they experience object constancy together is evidence that both parties recognize there is an underlying connection between them regardless of whether or not they are exchanging words. While conversing, they share a deep non-verbal bond. Their trust in one another grows. Open displays of trust are unnecessary. Just the facts. Understood. Put another way, that's just how things are. They are aware of the hidden card's existence. After they were finally able to talk to one another, tensions between them began to decrease. They're not as close as they used to be, but that's for the best. In contrast to what happens during a depreciation phase, their connection persists even in this disconnection. The reality of being with a narcissist, though, is that you won't experience this emotion. Instead, your heightened awareness will leave you feeling on edge. Walking on eggshells is how it can feel when you constantly fear making a mistake and assign responsibility to yourself. It would be a blow to your sense of self-worth, dignity, and abilities. Your sense of self would be shattered. As a result, you no longer reflect your true identity. Sooner or later, you'd give up and go to the bedrooms. It was never enough effort or sacrifice. If you treat them well enough, they will show you their true colors early on so that they can keep you around. You could think you're back on solid ground once they do this, but it's all an act to keep you under their control. A healthy, non-narcissistic relationship would never go through the discard phase of breaking up. A solid friendship between two people grows stronger as time goes on. In a heterosexual partnership, couples may decide to start a family. And if they do end up having kids, that love will be reflected in their offspring and strengthen their bond even further as the years go by. Over the course of a month, and especially over the course of a single day, that gradually disappears. They get to know one another, even if their enthusiasm for each other eventually wanes. Amid the process, or just at the start, they've found a new way to connect with their works, and as a result, feel more emotionally invested in them. Regarding the narcissistic couple, this is not the case. What happens is slow and cumulative. The narcissist can slowly sap your energy and leave you depleted over the course of many years. The trip there takes a lot of time. Dead feelings mean you have nothing left to give. You are now a mere shadow of your previous self. It's a no-brainer to throw it out if that's the case. Similar to a parasite, when one of the narcissist's food sources dries up, they just switch to another, even though the narcissist has more than one. But let's say things escalated to the point where they had to fire you, and you stayed put instead of looking for greener pastures. That is correct. The moment they have taken everything they can from you, they will leave. People are no longer able to put their trust in you. In the eyes of a narcissist, you are nothing more than a means to an end, one that is ultimately all about them. Their mental representation of it dies out, and they toss it out with the trash. It's as if you're nothing more to them than a worthless piece of furniture. No matter what happens to the relationship, you know there is still a connection. It's definitely a two-way street. The question, well, if he was fantastic, or if she was so sweet, why would he do this, and why would she do that, is never posed by any of the characters. In your mind, there is no room for doubt about who you were with, what their character was like, and how they were constructed. No, you don't have a divided personality in which happy recollections are locked up in a vault. Good and bad memories are mixed together in your mind, and you have no idea which is which. Actually, that's not the case, and it certainly wouldn't happen in a conversation with someone who isn't a narcissist. These are the primary differences between them, as you can see, and I so wish that you were able to realize that it was all a deception, despite the pleasant recollections you have. Narcissistic and non-narcissistic relationships can look quite similar on the surface, but once you know the difference, you can tell them apart. In addition, the ultimate goals of these two alliances are completely at odds with one another. Meeting a narcissist might make you doubt your very existence and make you reevaluate your life's goals and ambitions, and the bigger picture, if you will, of your life. Your life would improve with a non-narcissist in it because they would give you more positive things to focus on and make you feel like your existence is more meaningful. This video should prove to be rather enlightening and instructive, so I hope you like it. Experiencing the ups and downs of a narcissistic relationship can help you better grasp the dynamics of healthy relationships. I'm excited about our forthcoming chat. In the meantime, start making repairs.